I wasted 2 years bouncing between diets and workouts and got nowhere. I kept switching between fat loss and muscle growth, and only after sticking to the one strategy, the skinny fat solution, which is my program, there's a link in the description, is when I saw real change. So I used to be skinny fat, and one of my biggest insecurities was ever having to take my shirt off at the pool or the beach or in the change rooms because my lower belly fat would be on show for everyone to see. So what I did was I started to eat less calories. I wanted to lose that fat. I wanted to strip my belly fat. And it worked. I did lose weight. I did lose fat. But what happened was because I dropped my calories so low to the point of starvation, I wasn't able to progress in the gym. I'd plateaued on all my lifts. So I was doing bench press on 60 kilos for 8 reps. And the session after that, I would only be able to do 55 kilos. And the session after that, only 50 kilos. And the reason why was because I was just starving myself. My body simply didn't have enough fuel to actually get stronger and build muscle. So I recognized that, but I was scared of increasing my calories again because I was scared of getting fat. I just worked so hard over the past year to stop how much food I was eating and essentially diet to lose fat. And I was scared that if I were to up my calories again to try and build more muscle, then in the process of doing that, I would get fat and revert back to having all the insecurities about my lower belly fat and ever having to take my shirt off, all come rushing back. And what that situation put me in was two minds as to whether I should focus on continuing trying to lose fat or instead trying to continue building muscle. So one day, after not being able to bench press as much as I used to, I would think to myself, okay, well, the reason you weren't able to bench as much as you did the last session is probably because you're not eating enough. So I would go home after that gym session and then eat this massive meal because I wanted to build muscle. But then the next day I might wake up and just look at myself in the mirror and think, oh, you're looking a bit fat, like you're looking a bit chubby around that lower belly area. You weren't as lean as you were yesterday. And so what I'd do was for that day, I would limit my calorie intake. And so I was just yo-yoing between two different strategies. I was yo-yoing between trying to eat more food for muscle growth and then starving myself to try and just lose that stubborn belly fat. And when you're doing two conflicting things, nothing is going to change. And so it led to me staying in the same position for 2 years straight. And it was because I was just simply in two minds as to what to do with my strategy to actually go from skinny fat to lean and aesthetic. And it was only after landing on the one strategy of eating near maintenance / in a lean bulk with entirely clean food choices is when I made progress in the gym. So I was building muscle, but at the same time, getting leaner. And it was sticking to the one strategy, not yo-yoing between bulking excessively and then cutting on a starvation diet. And I think a massive cause of you and me potentially always being in two minds as to what to do with diet and training to transform our physiques is that we can't stick to one thing for long enough to actually reap the benefits and reap the results that come with sticking to something for a sufficient amount of time. So I'll give you an example of an ice cube in a freezer. As we all know, the melting point for ice is 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. When the freezer is at minus 10 degrees Celsius, still frozen, and then it warms slightly to -7, then to -6, then to -5, to -4, to -3, the ice cube is still frozen. You get to -2, -1, it's still frozen, and it's only at 0 degrees and above 0 degrees. So when 1 degree, 2 degrees Celsius is when the ice starts to melt. And a similar phenomenon happens with dieting and fat loss. You might be doing all the correct actions to get closer and closer to your goal of getting lean, but it's just that you haven't stuck to it for long enough to actually see visually the results that have come with sticking to consistent calorie deficits and sticking to the right food choices. Because what you don't see when that ice cube is actually warming up in the freezer is that the particles holding it together are actually slowly loosening up. And that's the same with your fat loss. You actually are losing fat. It's just that when you look in the mirror, you don't see it. And it's only once you get to that threshold point of say 2 months, 3 months is when you look in the mirror and think, holy shit, over the past 90 days, I've actually made some serious progress. It's a similar kind of concept with shares on the stock market as well. If you buy into an exchange traded fund, which just tracks the index as a whole, you know that financial returns will be guaranteed as long as you just wait enough time. Whereas when you invest in a penny stock that is very volatile, it's very up and it's very down, it's very up and it then goes back down, you have no idea whether that penny stock will actually pay off in the long run because it's just so volatile. And I think a lot of guys fall into this penny stock mindset where they'll do one thing one day and then something drastically different the next day. And then what that means is over the long term, you make absolutely no progress or actually regress in what you're doing. Whereas if you just stick the course and stay consistent over a long amount of time, sticking to the same thing, you will see consistent gains over that time. Sure, there might be minor dips and minor ups, and then minor dips again, and then minor ups again. But over the long term, you are guaranteed to make results in fat loss and muscle gain. And how this manifests in your fat loss transformation is you might eat a specific meal one day, and then the next day you wake up and think, oh, I'm looking a bit fatter today, or oh, I'm looking a bit leaner today. When in reality, that one meal that you had the day before has had absolutely zero bearing on how you look the next day. Just because you had ice cream on Monday does not mean you're going to wake up on Tuesday and actually have gained a significant amount of body fat. I think a lot of these things are just in guys' minds, and I would do this myself all of the time. I would do a new bicep exercise at the gym on, say, Wednesday, and then on Thursday, I'd look at my biceps and think, oh, they're actually looking a bit bigger. Maybe this exercise is a really good exercise. But in reality, it has absolutely zero bearing on how my biceps look the next day. Same thing with guys who will track their calories for 1 week and say, oh, it's not even working. I've done it for 1 week now and my weight hasn't dropped. Or if you start cutting for 1 week and then you go at the end of that week, oh, I'm looking a bit stringy or skinny. I want to start bulking again. And you just need to drop this volatility mindset where you're just switching between strategies because you will not make progress over the long run. Whereas if you stick to a dedicated 12-week transformation plan where you're doing the same things day in, day out, sure, it's boring, but it's what guarantees results. And my skinny fat roadmap in the skinny fat program solution outlines all of this in depth. And it's what guys like Alex, Jean have stuck to and seen actual results with fat loss and muscle gain. So the solution is you need to stick to the one thing for a prolonged amount of time. And part of that is just calming your mind and being comfortable with the fact that you might go 1 month of sticking to the exact correct habits that you need to be doing with your diet, with your training, with your sleep, with your recovery, everything. But be comfortable that at the end of that month, you will see no results, no progress. You need to be comfortable with that. Chances are you actually will see some progress, but you need to be comfortable with actually not seeing any progress at all, because sometimes it does take longer than a month to see real tangible results. Coming back to the ice cube example, if you get to the end of the month, you might only be at -5 degrees Celsius. You're not at the melting point yet, and it might take another month to get there. And if you are a person that has this kind of mentality and mindset where you're always switching between certain things, and you have these ADHD type tendencies to not be able to stick or focus on one thing for a prolonged amount of time, I highly suggest you start meditating and stopping scrolling things like TikTok and Instagram Reels, which just provide you with so much new stimulus constantly, which leads to this ADHD mindset. If you can instead meditate and just focus on your breathing and focus on one thing for, say, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, make it part of your morning routine, I think you will actually be more able to be comfortable with the fact of not seeing progress over a month, because you're calm and you will still stick to the same habits. You're doing the correct things without necessarily actually seeing results. And that's what allows you to be consistent, to actually see results over the long term. So you've just got to pick a plan and stick to it for a set amount of time. Again, my skinny fat roadmap outlines everything you need to know. in the link in the description below. You need to stop checking the mirror incessantly, 3 times a day, pinching your fat. Is it gone yet? Is it gone yet? Because nothing will change day to day. Your physique is going to stay the same on Monday as it was on Sunday and on Saturday. It's only after months that you'll see real results. And so checking in every day with progress photos on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and thinking to yourself, why is it still there? Why is my lower belly fat still there? Where are my abs? Are they defined yet? And just always be looking at this. That is when you just become way too obsessed with the result, to the point where you will start changing things because you think it's not working. And this is what I did, because I came back from a holiday. And of course, because on that holiday, I wasn't doing the correct habits, so my physique regressed. And I came back to the gym and I would literally go and take a photo of myself every day to see how I looked, to see if my abs were coming back, to see if I could strip the body fat that I'd put on, to see if I'd gained more muscle. And because I was just always looking for it, I was just in such a negative state of mind because I thought what I was doing was not working, when in reality, I just hadn't stuck to it for long enough. And if you've made it this far into the video, I know that you know what I'm saying makes sense and that this resonated with you in some capacity. And if you're looking for my direct guidance and help, you can check out the link in the description below, which is my program that covers the transformation from skinny fat to lean and aesthetic. So if you learned anything or enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing as well. We're getting to 20K subs soon, and I will see you in the next one.